I will not refer to them as mom and dad or mother or father. They don't deserve that title.
Law enforcement has recovered the human remains of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris.
You need to know two things before this story even starts. First, hundreds of people searched for this little girl. FBI, drones, helicopters, volunteers walking through summer heat until their boots gave out. Second, the whole time they searched, someone already knew exactly where she was. Her name was Javeayah Harris. Everyone called her Java. She was 4 years old, 36 inches tall, braids with pink beads that clicked when she ran. On June 30th, her mother called 911. She said Java had wandered off near the family's chicken coop, pink Minnie Mouse pajamas, Crocs on her feet. A missing 4-year-old with a possible undiagnosed condition, alone outside at night. You can imagine what that call did. Within hours, Aiken County, South Carolina turned into a full-scale operation. 9 days of searching, thousands of acres covered, a community on its knees, praying for one outcome. Here's what you need to know, and I promise we'll prove both parts of it. Java had already been dead for nearly a month when that call was made, and the two people who found her body weeks later weren't investigators. They were her own parents, because they already knew where to look. If that just made your stomach drop, stay with me, because it gets worse before it gets any clearer, and you don't want to miss what investigators found 90 miles from that home. By the end of this story, you'll understand exactly how a county searched for a child who was already gone, and exactly what her parents did to make sure she was never found. To understand how a community searched for 9 days without knowing the truth, you have to go back to where this started. A quiet street that looked like nothing was wrong at all. The evidence: 39 Hillsborough Street. A small house, a young family. Michilae Herring, 22. Johmarea Harris, 23. Their daughter Java. To anyone driving past, this looked ordinary. Michilae was pregnant with their second child. Java played outside. Nothing about this house raised alarms. Here's promise number 1, delivered right now. Investigators say Java suffered repeated blunt force trauma between May 1st and June 15, 2026. Not once, repeatedly, and neither parent picked up a phone. No doctor, no hospital, no 911 call, nothing. Investigators would later describe it using a phrase that says, everything. Both parents showed extreme indifference to human life. Java died sometime in that window. And for weeks, life on Hillsborough Street simply continued as if nothing happened. Not one person outside that house had any idea. Then, June 30th arrives. Michilae picks up the phone. She reports Java missing. She gives investigators a timeline, a description, a story about a possible undiagnosed condition making Java hard to track. Within hours, the entire machinery of a county mobilizes. FBI agents, state investigators, helicopters, drones sweeping tree lines, hundreds of volunteers walking creek beds calling her name. They believed this was a rescue mission. You now know it wasn't. And soon, investigators would start to realize it too. But not because of anything found in those woods. By July 4th, everything about this case would change in 5 words. That shift didn't happen by accident. It happened because investigators started asking a question that would break this case wide open. The key question. Here's promise number 2. You're about to learn exactly what these parents did to Java's body after she died, and why searchers spent 9 days looking in completely the wrong place. On July 4th, Sheriff Marty Sawyer stood before cameras. His voice was heavier this time. He confirmed what everyone feared. Java was dead. This was no longer a search. It was a homicide investigation. Both parents were arrested that day, both charged with homicide by child abuse. And here's what made this case different from almost anything investigators had seen. Both parents confessed. According to the warrants, here's the sequence investigators laid out. Java suffered a severe head injury during the alleged assault. She needed emergency medical care immediately. Neither parent sought help as her condition worsened. She died from those injuries before June 15th. Both parents then used corrosive chemicals to accelerate destruction of her body. What remained was allegedly poured into Cedar Creek Reservoir 90 miles from home. Every single step on that list was a choice. Not a panic, not an accident, a plan executed over weeks. Investigators shifted the entire operation to a reservoir locals call Stumpy Pond. Roadblocks went up. DNR divers searched for days. Then, without warning, the roadblocks came down. No press conference, no explanation, just silence. Reporters who arrived afterward found something strange. No disturbed dirt, no shovels, just a quiet boat ramp where you could hear fish jumping. One reporter said it plainly. This kind of quiet usually means something was found. What do you think that silence meant? Tell me below. Did they find her there, or did the search move somewhere else entirely? You're about to find out exactly what that silence was hiding. For days, nobody said a word. Then a sheriff with 37 years on the job stepped up to a podium and could barely finish a sentence. The truth confirmed. July 9th. The wait ends. Divers recover partial human remains from Cedar Creek Reservoir. DNA testing confirms the answer nobody wanted. These remains belong to Javeayah. Sheriff Sawyer laid out what investigators believe happened next. Extensive, deliberate efforts to destroy and conceal evidence, corrosive chemicals, other tools, all allegedly used to accelerate the destruction of a 4-year-old's body. He said something that day you won't forget. In my 37 years in law enforcement, I have never, ever heard of anything so horrific. Because of how far that destruction allegedly went, officials say it's unlikely the rest of Javeayah's remains will ever be recovered. If this is hitting you as hard as it hit that courtroom, hit subscribe now. We cover every update on this case, including the September court dates. Sheriff Sawyer made one more thing clear. He refused to call these two people mom and dad. His exact words, "They don't deserve that title." New charges followed. Destruction and desecration of human remains. Added to homicide by child abuse. Added to a false police report. At their bond hearings, both were denied. Officials called them flight risks and a danger to the community. Do you agree with the sheriff? Should parents who do this ever keep that title? Tell me below. The case against them keeps stacking. But for this community, confirmation didn't feel like closure. It felt like the start of something they'd carry for a long time. The charges are filed, the DNA is confirmed, but for Aiken County, this story doesn't end with a verdict. The unresolved close. Here's the part that's hardest to sit with. Because of how thoroughly investigators say her body was destroyed, Javeayah may never be fully recovered. Not all of her, maybe not most of her. Her family will likely never get the one thing they searched 9 days for. A full goodbye. The community didn't stop showing up, though. Pink ribbons still hang on porches across Aiken County. Vigil candles still burn. Javeayah's favorite color was pink, and this whole town wore it for her. Their next court date is set for September 18th, 2026. This case is far from finished. If you want to know what happens at that hearing, subscribe now. We follow cases like Javeayah's all the way through. What do you think justice should look like when the truth is this far gone? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. Before you go, sit with this. A 4-year-old girl loved playing outside near a chicken coop. She loved pink beads in her hair. She should be 5 years old right now, not a name attached to a homicide case. Rest in peace, Javeayah.